And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's back with another episode of MBT Talk Show. And we've had a weekend full of college football. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I could have asked for a better opening weekend. I mean, there was close games. There was 63 to 61 games. And on the other end, you had a 7-3 game with no touchdowns. So, it's been a week. But, I don't think I could have asked for anything better. And today we're going to open off talking about the Notre Dame-Ohio State game, which was looked at Game of the Week, College Game Day. Notre Dame actually came out firing and got a field goal in the first drive, and they just kind of ended up tanking, not doing good. And then Ohio State really took control of the game in the second half, allowed no touchdowns. C.J. Stroud didn't have the game I'd like for him to have, and I think the way he played is a Heisman winner game. But let's see what Val has to say.
Personally, I think C.J. Stroud played a great game. He had 24 for 34, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions with a QBR of 89.5.
I didn't say he played bad. I'm just saying it's not a Heisman contending game.
So, Notre Dame, they've got a pretty strong defense. Not the strongest offense, but Ohio State didn't come to play first half, but then definitely came to play the second half. As we see here for the receiving, Jackson Smith-Njigba didn't play that much because he got hit in the head. Had 2 receptions, 3 yards, and 0 touchdowns. Now, Emeka Egbuka. Wow. Ohio State's got some crazy names at the receiving corps. It's a mouthful. And he had 9 receptions, 90 yards, and a touchdown. He really showed up for the big game. And, Ohio State game was big. Had 10 5-stars coming to visit. Bronny James, LeBron, Ezekiel Elliott, a bunch of alumni. Joe Burrow. And big game. And Ohio State came to play.
Yeah, and Notre Dame didn't look terrible, but Tyler Buckner also didn't look great. I mean, you look at the receiving stat line, you had Chris Tyree with 6 receptions, 28 yards, no touchdowns. Honestly, I'll say this, Notre Dame's tight end is their best player. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he's raw. I'll give him that. But that's about all they got going for him. But they didn't look terrible. They did not look terrible at all. Now, with that being said, I thought before the season Ohio State was a national championship team. I do not think that as of this moment in time. Not happening.
No.
So now I have a question before we move on to the next game. With this one-loss Ohio State team already, they go undefeated. Are they in the college football playoff?
Yes.
Sorry, one-loss Notre Dame team, sorry.
Oh.
Undefeated, they in the college football playoff.
Ohio State?
Notre Dame. If Notre Dame, with this one loss, they go undefeated from here on out, are they in the college football playoff?
No. Well, I'll say this. It depends on how good USC looks, because that's about the only decent team they play the rest of the year.
Well, also, Clemson.
They play Clemson this year?
Yes, they play Clemson.
I didn't.
Total don't know his facts, guys.
Total don't know his facts.
I really didn't know that. I didn't know that off the top of my head.
I think Clemson's probably going to win the ACC. We'll see tonight, by the way they play against Georgia Tech. I think they'll win the ACC. And I don't think Notre Dame, with this one loss, will make it to the college football playoffs. You got Alabama. You've got Ohio State, of course. And then, I don't think Notre Dame's going to make it in that top 4.
Next game, we're going to travel down to Atlanta, where the Oregon Ducks came in and just got throttled 49-3. Now, Georgia picked up right where they left off with the national championship team. Now, even though most of the guys from that national championship team are in the NFL right now, they really came out strong and just thwacked Oregon 49-3. I'll tell you guys, the most impressive thing I saw was Stetson Bennett. I didn't think he was too great last year. I thought he just managed the games. But he came out making plays all game. I mean, he had one where he was rolling out right, turned around, stopped on a dime, was getting tackled, stood up and threw it to the guy in the end zone. I mean, that's just doing stuff like that will win you big ball games, and it obviously did. He had 97.3 QBR, 368 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So now on Georgia's side of the ball, Bo Nix will be Bo Nix, and he had 173 yards and 2 touchdowns, or 2 interceptions, which is embarrassing. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback, and it obviously showed on Saturday.
Now, Stetson Bennett, he made the 25 for 31, 368 yards, and 2 touchdowns look way too easy. He's definitely a dark horse for the Heisman this year. Bo Nix, he should probably quit football. 173 yards, not bad. 2 interceptions, though. there's no way, and me and Tuttle called this last episode, if Bo Nix doesn't come to show up, then they won't win. They lost by 46 points. And
But I'm not going to blame this all on Bo Nix. I mean, if you look at the rushing stats, Bo Nix was their leading rusher.
yeah, Bo Nix was their leading rusher.
That's not good.
And their leading receiving yards was Ferguson, 4 receptions, 37 yards. I mean, come on, Oregon. That's ridiculous. 11 ranked Oregon, just getting absolutely plowed by Georgia. Now, Georgia's defense really showed up. They were playing great defensively. And, Georgia, they're probably just going to stay the number 2 team in the nation. Then Alabama and Georgia are going to brawl it out for the SEC championship, and I could see Georgia beating Alabama.
Yeah, but let's not forget about Kenny McIntosh. That guy had himself a game out of nowhere. 9 receptions, 117 yards, no touchdowns, but I mean, nonetheless, that's a crazy stat line for a Week 1 Power 5 on Power 5 game, especially that big of a stage.
Now, is Oregon going to be a top 25 team after this?
23.
They're at 23?
No,
That's
they'll be
fair.
just outside of 27. I think they take a huge fall. You don't lose that badly and stay in there.
Saying just how they are, I would keep Oregon in the top 25. Who do they got next week? Anybody know?
Pac-12, who cares?
Exactly, it's Pac-12. Who cares?
They're not good.
Oregon is probably going to win next week because Pac-12 sucks. Now, SEC, next week, we've got Tennessee versus Pittsburgh. That would probably be a good game. What's your opinion on that, boys?
Now, I'm not a huge Vol fan, but I went to the game on Thursday against Ball State. And let me tell you, boys, Neyland was rocking. And I think the Vols, I don't want to say the Vols are back, but, the energy they were playing with all night just really sets a tone for a team. And Pittsburgh squeaked one out against West Virginia. I mean, West Virginia's 2 inches from winning that ball game. If that kid, that ball's up a little more and they catch that ball, then West Virginia's going to win that game. But I think Pittsburgh's a little nervous. It's at Pittsburgh, which does not help Tennessee at all. They're a little nervous, going to play a little tight. Keaton Slovis actually had a good game against West Virginia, but got the Vols coming out on top on this one.
Yeah, I got the Vols by like 3 or 10.
Yeah, you know me. I'm a homer. Balls.
So I want to talk about something that's fresh on our minds. Happened last night. FSU versus LSU. Now let me tell you, this was an absolute game. I watched it, most of it actually, and it was awesome. The end was, at least. The middle parts was kind of just they call it the battle of mid because both teams were just very, very, very mid. And it was first start for LSU's quarterback. What was his name? Jaden Daniels.
And also is the debut of the Brian Kelly.
Yeah, Brian Kelly era at LSU, and let me tell you, it was very unorganized, and there was a lot of things that just shouldn't happen. Special teams was horrible for LSU. They go down with a minute, or I think it was a minute and 12 seconds, I want to say, a 90-yard drive and be able to put it in the end zone with 1 second left, and then you're not even able to capitalize on that because you get your field goal or PAT blocked, which is just embarrassing. You should never have a PAT blocked with 1 second left to tie the game. But I'm curious to see how LSU bounces back. I think FSU knows they squeaked one out. I think FSU is that good. I think they're going to go lose 3 games in the ACC this year.
Yeah, with that being said, I want to talk about how comfortable Jordan Travis looked. If you watched games last year, he didn't look comfortable at all in that system. And I think he's probably the main reason that Florida State team's drastically improved this year. I mean, 20 for 32, 260 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's pretty nice considering the year he had last year.
My mom is a Florida State fan. She's from Florida State, and just think of all the recruits that would have went to Florida State and how good Florida State would have been this year. And without those recruits, they still beat an SEC team, LSU. And LSU, they played a pretty good game. Daniels threw for 2 touchdowns, over 200 yards, and Jay Daniels had 16 carries for 115 yards. That's not a bad game, but I mean, once again, special teams is a third of the game. So you just got to show up during special teams, and that will win you ball games.
Yeah, and if you're LSU, you cannot do this thing every game where you rely on Jaden Daniels as your entire rushing offense. That guy was running for his life the entire game last night.
Facts. Now, that will do for our recap episode for Monday. Oh, Walker wants one more thing.
Give me one more. Let's talk about Cincy and Arkansas. this is a big game. Again, I said it last week, but Cincy, they had a great team last year, made the college football playoff, and they had Desmond Ridder quarterback, Sauce Gardner was that big Sauce Chain. He's an athlete and he's a good cornerback. But this year they kind of lost a lot, so they were ranked number 23 against Arkansas as number 19. It was a good game. It was a really good game. It came down to the wire, but Arkansas kind of dominated the whole game, I felt like. And I picked Arkansas. And by the way, I just want to say that we're all 3-0 on our picks this week for college football.
Yes, Walker's right. We were 3-0 this week. And, Arkansas has roughly one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the SEC in Jefferson. He only missed 8 passes, went 18 for 26, 223 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Now, the Cincinnati quarterback didn't have himself a bad game either, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. But I think what really separated the two was the rushing yards. Kiner for Cincinnati only had 59 yards, and Sanders had over 110 yards. For Arkansas, that's just a big difference in a game. And it was a close game down to the wire. And Cincinnati almost pulled off the comeback, but Arkansas just kept it down their throat.
Yeah, and what doesn't help is how off the mark Cincinnati's offense was all day. I mean, if you watched the game, you saw it. They had, I think, over at least 10 delay of game penalties, which is crazy for a Week 1 game, especially a team that came off the playoffs last year. Like, I understand you have a new quarterback and all that, but especially this is really surprising coming from Luke Fickell, one of the best coaches in the country. But yeah, that's not acceptable.
All right, 2 more things from me. Number 1, let's talk about those Canes putting 70 points up on Bethune-Cookman. I mean, what a game by the Miami Herd.
Where's Bethune-Cookman from? Where are they from?
Bethune-Cookman, USA.
They're so raw. Where are they from?
Hey, they're dark horse for the college football playoff. Don't talk to them.
The Hurricanes.
Just jokes. But the Hurricanes look great. I think the Mario Cristobal era in Miami is going to be proved to be very, very, very good. Second thing I want to talk about is let's get predictions for tonight. We have Clemson versus Georgia Tech battle in the ACC. I think it's going to be tied at first. First quarter is going to be a tight game. I think Clemson's going to pull away big time, and I got the Tigers.
Clemson, they've had a great recruiting off-season so far for the 2022 class. And I think I don't know if the 2022 class is going to help them in this game, but I know they're returning a bunch of starters, and they had a rough season last season. But I think this year they're going to turn it around and be just like old Clemson. They're going to win ball games. This year I have them over Georgia Tech by over 17 points.
Yeah, if I wasn't undefeated in my college predictions right now, I would definitely take Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I want to take Georgia Tech, but I want to stay undefeated in my college football predictions, so I'm taking Clemson.
I'm going safe. Dabo gets it done.
I don't want to take Georgia Tech, because if I want to take Georgia Tech, I would take Georgia Tech. So you guys grow up and take who you want.
I'm taking Clemson.
I'm taking Clemson.
Okay.
And that will do it for our recap episode. We're going to maybe start recording these every Monday for our MBT talk show. And, we like to keep it steady.
Our goal here at MBT is to take over the podcast world. Take ESPN by storm. Take First Take by storm. We're just 3 dudes having fun. Make some college predictions, talk about some sports, and don't worry, guys. We didn't even talk about high school. That's for Thursday, for episode on Thursday. A little college on Thursday too, but then again, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and any wrong predictions by us, anything stupid thing we did by us, comment down below. MBT out.